Frank Luntz, veteran pollster and communications strategist, is with us now. I wonder, Frank, how you think the administration is handling this Second Amendment rights issue, considering we'd heard from the FBI Director Kash Patel suggesting that Pretti broke the law carrying a concealed gun at a protest, where you have gun rights advocates coming out and saying, actually, no, that's not how the Second Amendment works. How are they handling this, do you think?
I think it's all chaos. And it's a tragedy that people have died in this process, that you should not be dying during a protest, that we need to celebrate human life, and that we're politicizing and polarizing on every single issue and every occurrence. I think it's right to say that you don't bring a gun to a protest. I also think it's right that someone should not expect to be attacked, should not expect to lose their life. And I believe that instead of trying to lower the temperature levels, instead of trying to address legitimate issues about what people are doing in this country who are here illegally, that they're trying to make political points. And now people have died. And we've had this conversation before, you and I. And I've said repeatedly that we're heading towards this kind of confrontation, and we have to do better because the public expects better. They're not trying to support or oppose the president or a policy. In the end, we're just trying to get through the day. And that's not what's happening in America right now.
How are you viewing this leadership change of this immigration operation? Gregory Bovino out, Holman is in. Is it a messaging change, or do you think it's a real change?
I think it's real change because human beings make the decisions. What policies to enforce, how to enforce them. If it's messaging, you're just changing the communications person. This may be real policy. But in the end, how do we prevent this from happening? That should be the number one result of this. How do we prevent Minneapolis from occurring, and Portland before that, and places at the border before that, Los Angeles, for example. And instead, we're trying to shift blame. We're trying to politicize something that we should be bringing in common sense.
Minnesota Republican gubernatorial candidate Chris Mattel dropped out of the race and explained it in a quite thoughtful video. And he said he couldn't back Republican retribution in Minnesota. This is also what he told CNN's Erin Burnett when she asked why he felt this was a moral imperative.
I've talked to numerous people in my state that are getting pulled over because of the color of their skin, detained of the color of their skin. I've got the federal government saying that they can raid a house on the basis of a Border Patrol agent's signature as opposed to going to a neutral magistrate judge or Article III judge. This is just unconstitutional. And more importantly than that, it's just wrong. And to try to dress that up and say that this is some sort of law enforcement maneuver, it's just not.
Now, Mattel said he supported getting rid of the worst of the worst, but that he's watched this operation go beyond that, getting rid of so many people who are not public safety threats. Do you think he's striking the right tone?
I think the American people believe in that. I think that they want the borders secure. They want to be safe in their homes and in their neighborhoods. I believe that the American people do not want those who come here for the wrong reasons or come here in the wrong way to be here. But they don't want lives taken. They don't want this kind of instability and chaos that we see now in Minneapolis. I just wish every side of this, I don't say both sides anymore because there are more than just two sides. I just wish that every side took into account the reality of the situation and sought to de-escalate, to resolve it, to solve it, to protect the security and the safety of every American, but at the same token to be compassionate and understanding and find some other way other than shooting people to resolve the situation that we face right now. It's a common sense solution. That's language that the president uses, is language that he believes in. I think we need to focus on that as we go forward so that we don't create another Minneapolis in another city.
Frank, let's talk about how Democrats are messaging this, right? And certainly I think they're not monolithic on this. You saw a number of them in the House vote for the funding bill that included funding for ICE. At least one now says he regrets that, essentially. But now that you have Senate Democrats indicating they're going to hold up that funding. And yet when you hold up that funding, you can also hold up funding for very popular parts of the government, not the least among them, the Coast Guard, right? You've got that. You've got House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries saying Democrats are going to move forward with impeachment proceedings against Secretary Noem. I was speaking with Eric Swalwell yesterday. He said ICE should be completely crushed and reshaped. Oversight Ranking Member Garcia called for ICE to be abolished, that it's incapable of being reformed. Where do you see the line for Democrats of threading this needle on messaging and policy?
A great question. Show me your solution, and don't try to score political points. This should not be the issue. Someone's death should not be the issue that you use to get yourself elected. And it should not be the issue that you use to divide yourself with the other political party. I want to hear Republicans and Democrats, and let me state this, Americans want to hear Republicans and Democrats sitting down in the same room at the same time and coming to some sort of consensus. It has to be there. And we're not trying to achieve it right now. We're trying to escalate so it has an impact on the midterm elections. And that's exactly what should not be happening. There needs to be people out there who are saying that our democracy is under threat, that we're seeing the breakdown of civil society in too many places, that people are now in jeopardy for their safety and their health and their security, and that we have to come together in some sort of alliance. I recognize the Democrats will never credit Donald Trump for doing anything, and Donald Trump he'll behave the same way. And both sides need to stop, figure out what they can get done together, because we don't want another government shutdown. We don't want Washington to show that it cannot work, and we don't want Minneapolis to happen in another great American city.
Frank Luntz, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.